Hello, welcome to the 2025-2026 Line Year Club Treasurer Workshop for District 24L. I'm past Council Chair Glenn Logan. I'm the Treasurer for the Alexandria Asian American Lions Club. Today we have three major learning objectives. For you to understand the responsibilities of the Club Treasurer, learn how activity and admin account funds can be raised and used, and finally, learn what governmental and Lions Club reports you need to file and when. This is my syllabus for today. In green, we have the general knowledge requirements. In purple, we have things pertaining mostly to LCI rules and regulations and standards. And red is things pertaining to Lions of Virginia and the Commonwealth of Virginia legal requirements. Finally, I'll wrap up with, in black, the summary, providing a treasurer's calendar and what you need to do to qualify for the 100% Treasurer Award. First, the functions and duties of a club treasurer. You're the chief financial officer of the club. Your official functions are under the supervision of the club president and the board of directors. The treasurer is also a member of the board of directors, and normally you are the chairperson of the club finance committee. A key point is the accounting requirements that you must maintain. You must establish and maintain separate bank accounts for administrative and activities, or what we call charity funds. The administrative account will record receipts from member dues and disbursements for administrative purposes. This could include state and international dues, any supply expenses, the expense of running the club. If your dues include meals, this would pay for your meeting expenses to provide those meals. The activity account, you would deposit funds received from the public and disperse them for your activities, your charitable activities during the year. Continuing with accounting requirements. The Board of Directors' approval of the annual budget authorizes the treasurer to make certain disbursements within the limits of that approved budget. This budget should be formulated very early in the Lions year. You should notify the board of any projected expenditure that would exceed the limits of the overall approved budget. An audit or a financial review should be conducted at the end of the year before turning the books over to the next club treasurer. You may also want to have reviews periodically through the year. That budget approval should be documented in the minutes of a board meeting and also be made available to the club membership. Receipts and disbursements should be recorded in a manner that will facilitate preparing club financial reports. This can be accomplished using PC-based accounting programs like QuickBooks, spreadsheets like Excel, or even manually if that's your preference. You should reconcile the checkbook or the books of accounts monthly and reconcile them against any bank statements. Preparation of the club budget is one of your major responsibilities. You share it with the finance committee and often with the club president. A good budget will make all the difference whether your club will be financially solvent at the end of the fiscal year. As mentioned before, you should maintain two accounts. Therefore, you should have two budgets, one for administrative and one for activities or charities. It's important to note that a budget does not give authority to spend the money. It is simply a guide to spending. Once the directors approve the budget, you should make every effort to adhere to it. In compliance with Lions Club's policies, under no circumstances may the net income of club projects be used in any manner whatsoever for administrative expenditures. Again, best practice is to establish two separate bank accounts and sets of books, one for administrative and one for your activities. Here's a sample administrative budget documenting the projected income and expenses for the Lion year. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st through June 30th each year. There's an error on the slide. You can recap with the summary down at the bottom showing where you balance that budget. Here's a sample club activities budget. Same, projecting income from the different fundraisers and expenses for the different charitable projects that you incur during the year. Here's a sample financial report. Again, this should be presented to the board of directors periodically and per the club procedures to the general membership and should be made available upon request by the general membership. I bring up the topic of membership categories, for example, as to how it might affect your income and expenses. I won't go into the different types of categories of membership, other than to say on the next slide, the last item at the bottom in gray, the discounted memberships. There was a recent change to the LCI Constitution and bylaws and in the multiple district Constitution and bylaws, where discounted members are eligible to be voting delegates, but they do not enter into the formula for determining the number of voting delegates that a club has at a convention, whether it's international or state. The discounted membership, for example, for family members for LCI is 50% of a full membership. Lions Club dues. LCI invoices clubs twice a year based on the membership rolls as of 30 June and 31 December each year. Effective July 1st, LCI dues are now $50 a year for regular members and $25 a year for family members. Those invoices are due and payable by the club by 31 July and 31 January, respectively. They give you 1 month to pay the invoices on time. LCI dues are prorated by month for new members joining during the year. There's also a $35 one-time initiation fee that applies. For Lions of Virginia, Multiple District 24, the state secretary treasurer mails invoices to club treasurers based on membership rolls as of 31 October each year. They are $16 per member, no proration and no family member discount. All members pay the $16 per member unless you have life members, Lions of Virginia life members. Those are due and payable by 31 December. Please ensure that you have a correct treasurer's email and mailing address in the Lion portal so that you can receive the invoices and other important financial information from both the multiple district and LCI. We've had cases where there was incorrect information on the treasurer And when that happens, a lot of times the district governor has to step in and intervene to keep the club from going into status quo for financial delinquencies. We'll move into tax issues and regulations affecting Lions clubs. A number of years ago, the Internal Revenue Service granted LCI a blanket exemption, or called a group exemption number, where each chartered Lions club is granted a 501c4 tax exempt status. That means we do not pay income taxes on our revenues. This is under the category of civic leagues or organizations not organized for profit, but operating exclusively for the promotion of social welfare. However, LCI and its chartered clubs are not directly charitable organizations as defined by the Internal Revenue Code. Donations made to LCI and local clubs are not tax deductible under IRC 170. Continuing, contributions again are not deductible as charitable contributions for income tax purposes to your 501c4 organization. We'll cover in a moment the charitable foundation situation. Filing requirements. Most small tax exempt organizations whose gross receipts are normally $50,000 or less must file a Form 990N. There is no longer a postcard to file, it is strictly online. When you exceed that, you must file a Form 990 or 990EZ. If you exceed the limits they're expressed there. When do you file? It's whatever form you must file. It is due the 15th day of the 5th month after the end of the annual accounting period, which for Lions clubs would be 15 November. You do not want to become delinquent in filing. If you fall behind and fail to file for 3 years, you may have your tax exempt status revoked. And it's a rough situation to go through and get that reinstated. It can be reinstated, but you will pay a fee of anywhere from $400 to $850. Now we'll talk about Internal Revenue Code 501c3 charitable foundations. A Lions Foundation formed in accordance with 501c3 would be eligible to obtain a 1023 exemption number from the IRS. That qualifies a contributor who makes a donation as tax deductible as allowed by law. There are other benefits, including exemption from property and sales taxes. You may want to incorporate your Lions Club and then your foundation. Keep in mind, a charitable foundation under 501c3 is a separate legal entity from your basic Lions Club. You'll note a number of clubs will have foundation in their 501c3 legal name. You must get a separate EIN, tax number to do this. Also, before you file, you must receive authorization to use the Lions name and emblem and the marks Lions International or Lions Clubs International in your legal entity, in your incorporation. You may also wish to incorporate your club in the local state or jurisdiction, such as the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is actually encouraged by LCI and will benefit the club. Again, You must contact the LCI legal department for approval. Your articles of incorporation must include a jurisdictional statement that states the club is subject to international constitution and bylaws. The purposes enumerated therein must remain the same as those in the international constitution and bylaws. The club name should be the same name as in the LCI records, with the exception of the distinguishing nomenclature regarding a charity foundation, such as an example would be Lions Clubs International is a separate legal entity from Lions Clubs International Foundation. In the Commonwealth of Virginia, you can register with the State Corporation Commission at scc.virginia.gov. Fees and an annual report are due on or before the last day of the 12th month after incorporation or issuance of a certificate of authority, and by that date each following year. For example, our club, our report and fees are always due 30 June. Our fee, after the initial fee, it's $25 a year currently. I don't recall what the initial fee is, but it's not very much. Commonwealth of Virginia has a state sales and use tax exemption that you can apply for. Previously, clubs could use the Lions of Virginia state exemption, but that was no longer available effective in 2019. So the Virginia Department of Taxation requires each Lions Club to obtain an individual club tax exemption. Using your club EIN, you can visit and register with the Department of Taxation nonprofit, NPO, nonprofit office. This sales tax exemption is valid for 5 years. If there's any question as to your status, you can go to this website in the Commonwealth and do a search. This was a very limited search, but if you put different search terms like Lions clubs, you will see there are a number of Lions clubs in Virginia that do have sales tax exemptions. Also, to solicit charitable donations from the public in Virginia, Lions clubs or Lions foundations are required by law to complete this application with the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, or VDACS. These forms can be found online at the website here, and this will also be posted on the new District 24L website for quick access. Wrapping up, here are the current requirements for the 100% Treasurers Award. This also will be posted at the District 24L website for easy access. This must be confirmed by the zone chair and signed by the district governor. These are normally due within a certain number of days of the closing of the international convention. Currently, this information is available at the lionsofvirginia.org website, the multiple district, and it will also be posted on the new district website. When do you need to file, and what are what's your timeline? What's your treasurer's calendar? May 15th All the new club officers each year should be reported to LCI. This is very important so that the club officers are given the appropriate rights in the Lions portal. May 31st, this is an example. If that is within your timeline, it's from when you were authorized sales tax exemption. As I stated, my club's is June 30th, but you will get a reminder in the mail, a form that you can fill out to pay your fee and file your annual report. It's very simple. You just report on the directors and confirm that you're still operating as a business. In June, you should have the financial review or audit and be ready to turn over the books to the incoming treasurer. July 31st is the last day to pay the semi-annual LCI dues on time. And then October is the date that November 1st, the annual multiple district dues invoices are mailed out to the treasurer. November 15th, your federal tax return, whether it's 990N, 990, or 990EZ, is due to the IRS. January, every year, January 31st, the second half of the semi-annual dues are due and payable. Here are some resources and contact information. My email is here. I'd be glad to help. You can send me questions. I've also posted a link for the treasurer's ebook, which will also be available on the district website. You can go to the Lions Learning Center in the portal, as well as Lions University. There is a club financial management course in the bachelor's program courses. The Lions Learning Center should give you another opportunity to review the responsibilities for treasurer. But again, I'm always available to help answer any questions that you may have. And I'm sure PDG Doug Cross would be glad to assist you as well. The live presentation, I would open this up for questions, so feel free to submit any questions that you may have, and I will review them and get back to you by email. So hopefully we've covered these learning objectives, these three. I think the most important thing is to make sure you comply with the Lions Club policies and with the federal and state legal requirements to operate your Lions Club financial program. I'd like to congratulate and thank you for agreeing to serve as your club treasurer. It's a very important function. Once again, I'm available to assist you in any way that you may need. Thanks for completing this training. Upon reviewing this video, please contact the Global Leadership Chair for the District 24L. That contact going forward will be posted on the website. So we want to try and get 100% coverage of officers trained, president, secretary, treasurer, membership chair, service chair. It's important, and it's an important goal for the district to have our officers trained and knowledgeable. If they don't know the answers, they should know where to go to get the answers to their questions. Again, Thanks for taking time out from your schedule to review these slides.